and welcome to the third gathering through confusion to clarity. I hope you guys liked the song. Ma Muse is an amazing duo of two female singers, and if you haven't heard them before, they have a few other amazing songs, but I chose this one because it felt very relevant to today's course. We're going to be talking about relationships with other people and how resentment can come up and blame, and of course how to move through that and really understand that fully so that we can forgive and really live a free, full-hearted life, and of course to further use our minds in a way that's beneficial and that serves us and others. And so I wanted to just point out really quickly this beautiful plant that I picked this morning. It's called the kukui tree, which has these amazing smelling flowers, and it's such a beautiful bush. And in Hawaii, it's actually called the friendship tree. So it felt really relevant because when we're looking at our relationship with others, it's really going to determine how we have a relationship with life too. And if we have only relationships with others that feel like a friendship, then it's gonna transfer into our relationship with the greater picture, and we're gonna feel like life is friendly and the world is a friendly place for us. So it's really a beautiful thing to start to look at, how do I see those in my life? Are they a blessing to me? And to really see that as the foundation for what we are creating for ourselves, and also what we're going to be passing on to our children, and showing them is what life is about. And so the poem for this week says, when we forgive each moment, seeds of goodness sprout beneath our feet, creating a new world for our children to greet. So it's really about more than just forgiving people. It's about forgiving every single moment and being so fully present that we actually have nothing to even resent or blame or be upset about. It's just every moment is fresh, and we can see this in children, how fresh they are and how kind of non-conceptual they are, or at least they appear to be. And it's really quite beautiful to be able to live from a place of complete presence and not being limited by these really teeny tiny stories that just cause a contraction in our focus and in our awareness, to the degree that we're not able to really experience the beauty and the full-heartedness that's always here and available to us. And so we'll talk a little bit more, we'll dive in a little bit more to the resentment and the blaming and the dissatisfaction at the beginning here, just so that we can kind of get a sense for what happens when we do that. This is chapter 7 through 10. This is the telecourse that correlates with that. And so I was talking a little bit about how I had this opportunity come up to get frustrated about an experience I had with this man that I hardly knew. And I'm not going to go into detail about it too much, but essentially I talk about how I kind of go into this, I can go into this spiral, we can go into this spiral of suffering, or we can choose not to in those moments. But when I do choose to go into that spiral of suffering, we'll hear a little bit more right here about what happens. It says on page 45, when I blame others for my dissatisfaction, or when I resent them for my disempowerment, I abandon my calm, nourishing center. All accusations follow a thought of hatred and split off from wholeness. To blame is to sell myself to an idea that is leaving who I am. Any thoughts that do not celebrate the movements of life create fragmentation and separation everywhere. If I can recognize when I'm blaming others, then I can also start to feel the motionless sense of peace that is always available to me. This becomes totally empowering because it means I am in charge of the way that I feel all of the time. From this viewpoint, an entirely new way of relating to the world unfolds. I now choose to stop giving away my autonomy to regrets about how everything has been. I have the option to stop looking for faults and living inside of turmoil. I can find confidence and security as the mother of it all. no matter how the world appears. So I think we'll stop there. When I say throughout this book, I mentioned the mother of it all. And this kind of is an introduction to the next activity, but it's kind of this space that we notice at all times, especially when we're not thinking. Initially, we can notice this space of peace, this space of quietude that just is kind of watching everything. It observes, it notices, it's what actually notices the thoughts that we're thinking. And this is what I'm considering the mother of it all, that's holding it, that is there before and after the thoughts arise. It's the so-called rest, which the next activity is called noticing the rest. And so we'll really quickly go over this activity so that you can have a sense of it and of what it is doing. And of course, it would be good to practice this more in your own time and really deepen into it and familiarize yourself with it. So you're going to find a nice comfy spot, set the timer for at least 10 minutes when you're by yourself, and start by taking 3 slow, deep breaths. Feel your contact to the ground, to the chair. Feel your feet on the earth or whatever surface they're on. Bring your attention to your thoughts as they are. Don't try to change or control them in any way. Let them be wild. Some teachers talk about the mind in this way. They say it's the monkey mind, the wild mind that just goes and goes on its own. Just let it be free. Notice how the thoughts naturally go away if you do not grab onto them. If you totally allow them to be and you don't attach to them or add to them, then they just kind of go away. And this is what we're noticing right now, is how easeful the thought process can be, how fluid it can be, and how things don't need to get stuck unless we want them to, and we actually choose to consciously focus on and add to and contribute to the birth of an idea or a thought that comes through our mental field. So notice the quiet, the rest that is there, even if it's just for a millisecond. Once the thoughts come and go, what are they coming from and where are they going back to? What's there? What's remaining? What's always there underneath it? And this is the rest that we're noticing. And keep noticing this space and pay particular attention to this, because this is the quietude that's going to allow us to kind of step out of the obsessive compulsive thinking. And so it's a very powerful and potent thing to focus on. And there's a lot of reorientation that can happen once we start to notice this, and it's all good, nothing but good. So keep noticing this space, which is before and after the thoughts that come and go. And once you familiarize yourself with this rest, with this quietude, see if you can prolong it, if you can actually focus on it to the degree that you can prolong the quietude, prolong the period of time that you're not having thoughts. And this is just an example of an exercise. It's not like the goal is to never have thoughts again, but if we can really focus so intently that we can actually choose when we want to think and when we don't want to think, there's a certain degree of freedom in that and empowerment, because we don't feel like we're victims to this obsessive compulsive thinking that I just mentioned. And so we're essentially training ourselves to focus more on clarity than on the hustle and bustle, as I refer to in Sunlight for a Rainbow, of the constant thinking. And also the wild thinking that's just happening without us really having a say about it. And so we're choosing to shift that and read a little bit more from page 53. It says, when I am fully present, there is an opportunity to start tracking my thoughts and my spinning emotions, which would be an active external movement. Alternatively, I have the option to journey inward, following a force of stillness, remaining aware, open, and without judgment, full of power and ready to act in the most harmonious way. Here, I learn to love and connect with myself and others in a manner that always points toward joy. And so it's really our choice. We always have the choice to either be focusing on what's always changing, which is our thoughts and our emotions and our sensations and everything that's always changing, which I'm sure you know all about. Or we can really try to find something inside of us that's stable and that's always there and that's always dependable. And this is the rest that we're referring to. This is the quietude, this is the peace, this is the well, this is where everything comes from and everything goes to. And it's kind of like our sanctuary. And this is where we can mother from. And when we mother from this place, it's an entirely different experience than just going from one fear or worry or resentment to the next. And so this is really what we're doing here, is seeing all the ways that we're preventing ourselves from being in this sanctuary, from being nourished by who we really are, and therefore being able to nourish others from this place, this unconditional place. And so I think we're going to stop here and take a break, and we'll come back for activity 2. And we might even need to do 3 videos for this one, but we'll see how much we have time for in the next video. So see you in a little bit.